Salut les calamars! Sorry. So, I figured I would show you how I got the gear I have today since I often get asked about it. So this is going to be a video about Rollscumming and other techniques to get quads and triples in general. Fair warning though, the whole video is me talking like that. It really is the best I can do, so I hope you don't mind and that it's gonna be clear enough for you. Alright, so I rolled roughly 2/3 of my quads and got the last third through orders. I'm probably going to disappoint a few people here, but no, there is no trick to get triples easier when you're Rollscumming. It's just random, so you've got to keep trying until you get whatever it is that you want. If you're wondering, this is what my Splatoon log looks like. So yeah, there is no real shortcut when it comes to rolling something yourself. My only advice is to multitask. This has to be a side activity or it will bore you to death. Just think of it this way. The more you roll something, the lower the odds are that you are not going to get what you want. So eventually...
Nice.
Now that I've gotten this out of the way, we can get into what this video really is about, which is the time traveling technique, the gear sharing platform website, and a little technique to get brand triples like these. Couple of notes before I start with the time traveling technique. First, it doesn't work everywhere. You can only do it in the US and in countries that have colonies with different time zones. So for instance, France and England can, whereas Belgium, Germany and Japan can't. And there are probably a lot more countries from Europe that can't either. I don't want you to get your hopes up for nothing, so you might want to check if you can change your time zone before watching this part of the video. Secondly, I want to give credit where credit is due. I learned about this technique a couple of weeks ago from someone in the Splatoon General Discord group who learned it from this post. From there, we all started to talk about it here and there and it quickly spread. In fact, I'm pretty sure at this point you already know what this is, or at the very least, you've heard about it. I figured the best way to explain the technique would be from a concrete example, so I'm going to show you how I proceed and explain every step. The first thing you want to do is find a piece of gear to order. So either play until you find someone with the gear you want, or just share gear in a private battle. I did the latter for my example with several Japanese people. So what I'm doing here is I'm filling my order queue and checking what Spyke delivered today to be sure it's going to get rid of it for the next order. Simply buying it would have worked just as well. Now that everything is ready, I'm going to update my backup. To avoid any confusion, when I say update, I mean to say that I'm going to copy the file from the USB stick to the Wii U. And when I say restore, I mean to say the opposite, so copying the file from the Wii U to the USB stick. So now that the file is ready, let's change the time zone. Simply go here and click Change User Information. Enter your Nintendo Network ID password and select Personal Information. This is where you can change the time zone. As you can see, I'm currently at UTC plus 1 and I can go up to UTC plus 12. That's an 11 hours jump. So if I were to change the time zone to plus 12 when it's 1 PM, the game will think that it's actually midnight and so Spyke will have delivered what I ordered. Note that I could set my time zone to UTC minus 10, wait for a day or so to let the game resync on that, and then switch to UTC plus 12 for a 22 hours time jump. But 11 hours is good enough for me, so I don't bother. Do keep this in mind if you can only jump forward a couple of hours relatively to your current time zone. So this is basically all there is to this technique, making a quick jump in the future to check on Spyke faster. But it's actually really powerful and I'm going to explain how so in a bit. Now that the time zone has been set, the game will think that it's past midnight and so Spyke will have delivered. So let's get back in the game to check that order. It's trash, so let's restore everything. I restored the time zone to my current one and I restored my backup. Let's get back in the game again to cancel that cycling shot. Now let's set the time zone to the future UTC plus 12 in my case, and get back in the game to check that other cold-blooded shirt. It's trash again, so let's restore everything. Time zone and backup. Now that I've checked both shirts, I need to order something else. Don't worry, this is almost over. There we go, let's update the backup and then set the time zone forward. Let's check the order one more time. It's trash again. So now I'm sure you know what comes next. Restore the time zone and the backup, get back in the game to cancel that last order, then set the time zone forward again. Let's check the order one last time. Finally something to work with. But before trying to unlock the third slot, I'm going to explain a few subtleties about how order works. It's something you're bound to discover on your own if you keep experimenting with this technique, but I might as well explain it to you. So this is how orders work. At midnight, every piece of gears gets their 4 possible outcomes randomized. I'm talking about the number of slots Spyke is going to get right. None, 1, 2 or 3. Now, obviously, the odds of getting 0 or 1 are much higher than 2, and let's not talk about 3, which are terribly low. But yeah, this is why I didn't try to reorder the same cold-blooded shirts, or why I restored my backup even after seeing that Spyke delivered the Squid Girl shoes. I know that I'm going to get the same thing if I order them again during that day. And it doesn't even matter who you order it from as well. I asked a friend to let me order the same shoes on that day to prove this to you. As you can see, Spyke got the 2 slots right again. We even get to see him congratulate himself because this pair didn't have a third slot. This is where the time traveling technique becomes really good. Because of the way my order queue is filled right now, had I not used this technique, I would have missed the Squid Girl shoes. Let me explain. So let's say I never heard about this technique and I'm ordering gear as usual. So I check the shoes and they're trash. Never mind that, I'll wait until tomorrow to check the shirt. I check the shirt and of course it's only 1 slot since we already saw that. But now, since it's a new day, all the gears have been randomized again and so the Squid Girl shoes that are due for the next day won't have 2 slots anymore. Well, I mean technically it could, but that's very unlikely. Meaning that by ordering the shirt before the shoes, I actually missed my window to get 2 slots on them. This probably happens a lot of times, sadly. Without this technique, the only way to get a specific gear delivered as quickly as possible is to order it daily. But by doing so, you're going to miss on a lot of potentially good delivers without ever knowing it. Another thing. Let's say that by some RNG miracle, Spyke delivered a full 3 slots on the Squid Girl shoes instead of 2. Without this technique, it would have been a huge waste. That one time Spyke actually delivers, it was on a double only. With time traveling though, you can simply cancel it and order from someone who has a triple on them. In the end, you can pretty much order gear from anyone with this technique. If you see someone in your plaza with a gear you'd like to have a triple on, you can just check if today is a proper day to order, and if it is, find someone who has the ability you'd like on and order it from them. Just keep in mind that this is a tedious process, as you saw. It takes around 1 hour just to check 6 gear. So you might want to make a list of preferred gear instead and check them every day. Okay, so now that we know that the Squid Girl shoes will have 2 slots tomorrow, it's time to try to scum the 3rd slot. There is another subtlety here, so I'll explain this as well. To make the best of the time traveling technique, what you don't want to do is immediately update your backup when you see that Spyke delivered a gear with 2 slots. Instead, restore your backup and time zone like I did, if necessary, to make sure that the gear concerned is the next one to be delivered in your order queue. In my case, I have to cancel the shirt first. Now, you can update your backup and set the time zone forward. Add the 3rd slot, play a few games to unlock it, and proceed as usual when Orderscumming something. If you're out of luck and still haven't unlocked it by midnight, you can simply go back to your normal time zone and you'll have another 24 hours to get it. This only works if you made sure to back up your save at your normal time zone. This means that, on top of the usual 24 hours, you get a few extra hours equal to the amount of arrows you can jump forward to unlock that third slot. Now, obviously the way I presented the technique isn't the only way to proceed. You could also just order something, check what Spyke delivers, restore everything if necessary, then order something else, etc. I personally prefer filling up my order queue first, then check the gear one by one, but that's just me. It's more practical, for instance, if you're squadding and encounter several guys with the gear you want. That way, you can just fill up your queue and wait for the end of the rotation to start time traveling. I got really lucky here and unlocked it on the first try. If you unlock it the day you ordered the gear as well, don't forget to restore the time zone to your current one before updating your backup. Also, keep in mind that the game will have saved the future time zone, so at midnight, Spyke won't deliver something else. You will have to wait a day to let the game resync on your normal time zone. But don't worry, you will still be able to use this technique the day after you successfully ordered something. So this is what the time traveling technique is all about, which, as you can see, is pretty broken. During the last 2 weeks, I successfully ordered 6 squads thanks to it. If you live in a country where you can't do it, you might as well drop Rollscumming and just use this to get your gear you want. So now you might be wondering, how the hell am I supposed to find someone to order from if the gear I want is some obscure quad like let's say a quad special duration up? This is where this website comes in. The link is in the description. It's all in Japanese as you can see, but if you're using Google Chrome, you should be able to get a good enough translation. I use Firefox though, so I just went ahead and deciphered the moon runes. I originally planned to go in details on how to get around this website, but it would have made the video too long. So I'll just talk about it real quick, just to let you know that this exists, in case you haven't heard about it. Once you've made your account, fill in your lists of gear you possess and gear you want. From there, you can search the gear you want in the home page. So let's say I'm looking for the quad Inksaver sub shirt. I'm leaving the third slot to any ability because I don't necessarily want to order a quad since a double will work just as well. Here you can decide whether to search in the list of gear people possess or the list of gear people want. Here, 2 people have what I want, so I can try to contact them. Also, you may want to check their want gear list to see if you have something to offer. They don't always fill in that list though, so feel free to contact them anyway and see if you can get a gear sharing lobby going. How you contact them is entirely up to you. I prefer using direct messages to better keep track of the conversation, but not all of them allow anyone to direct message them. That's pretty much all I had to say about this, so now I'm going to finish with a little trick I came up with last October to get cheap brand triples. Whenever you start the game, all you have to do is roll a gear with a brand influence one time before going back to Rollscumming or Orderscummer. That's pretty much all there is to it. It doesn't seem really impressive at first, but you have to remember that the odds of getting a brand triple are 2%. It's not that low, so after a few tries, you're going to get a nice brand triple for 30Ks only. That's how I filled my inventory with triples. Except for the few I rolled when I had just started Rollscumming, I got every other brand triples using this little technique, and so they all cost me only 1 roll each. Now, as for how long it takes on average to get one, well, it's hard to say, but you don't have to be an hardcore Rollscummer for it to work. It seems to have worked pretty well so far for other people too. Sometimes you get nothing for a few days, and sometimes you get a couple in a few hours. I got these 2 shots for instance while I was watching an Overwatch tournament which lasted around 4 hours. On lucky days, you can get up to 4 of them in 2 or 3 hours, or even 2 back to back. And on very lucky days, you can get something like this. Believe it or not, it's actually the 6th time this happened. I got these shoes like this as well, which kinda is a shame since there already is an incline bum sniffer pair of shoes. I rolled 4 other off-brand triples on hats with this technique. This one, this one, this one, and this one. This was a natural off-brand triple, so I simply got it on purchase. For the anecdote, I rolled this triple on this hat using this technique while I was trying to roll it on this hat. If that ever happens to you as well, don't start rolling another gear thinking you missed the opportunity to roll the triple you wanted. Just remember that it's completely random and that you could get it on your next roll. I managed to roll that quick sub and job triple not too long after getting it on that fresh fry visor in the end. Well, that's pretty much all I wanted to say in this video. I really tried to be as detailed and as clear as possible, so let me know if there are parts you don't understand. Thank you all very much for watching and bearing with my silly accent.